Okay, so get this. Imagine, right, you're prescribed these life-saving antibiotics. You're sick, you need them, so you pop those pills. But then you find out they're basically just like talcum powder.
Yeah,
Scary thought, right?
absolutely.
But, and here's the thing, this isn't some like made-up scenario from a TV show.
Yeah.
This actually happened in Nagpur, India.
Yeah, and what's crazy is it wasn't just a few bad pills, we're talking a massive operation here. The Maharashtra FDA busted this whole bogus medicine racket. Huge.
Yeah, you sent me some stuff about this, and I gotta say, the scale is incredible. 21,600 substandard antibiotic tablets just seized. That's a massive red flag.
Yeah.
So let's deep dive into this whole thing, starting with, well, what exactly happened?
So it all started with basically routine sample testing. The FDA, they do this regularly. They collected these samples of ciprofloxacin tablets, a really common antibiotic.
Oh, sure, Cipro. I've heard of it.
Right, you've probably even taken it at some point.
Yeah, probably.
So anyway, they test these Cipro samples, and get this, they find zero, literally zero, trace of the actual medicine.
Whoa. Seriously?
It was just filler, cheap filler. Like they weren't even trying to hide it.
So people are being prescribed this for, what, like serious infections, thinking they're getting the good stuff? And
Exactly, and that's the danger here. Ciprofloxacin, it's not just any antibiotic. It's on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines, critical for treating, serious bacterial infections, pneumonia, UTIs, even some types of meningitis.
Wow. Okay, so we're not talking about, like, a little cold here. These are life or death situations.
Exactly, so you're relying on these fake pills. Not only is the treatment useless, but things can get really bad, really fast. It can be fatal.
And didn't one of these articles mention antibiotic resistance? Like, doesn't this make that whole problem even worse?
100%. See, when bacteria are exposed to low doses of an antibiotic, or in this case, what they think is an antibiotic, it helps them evolve, become resistant to the real deal. So later on, someone needs ciprofloxacin to, fight a real infection.
It might not work. That's terrifying. Okay, so we've got the what fake ciprofloxacin. We've got the why it's terrifying, totally ineffective, potentially even making things worse with this resistance issue. But who's behind this? These articles mentioned refined pharma. What's the deal with them? Were they running the show?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The FDA investigates, right? And guess what? Refined pharma. Completely made up.
Whoa.
A total ghost company. A front to sell these fake pills.
A front for an operation this big? That takes guts.
And it gets even wilder. These fake meds, they weren't just in Nagpur. The FDA found them across multiple states. This wasn't just some small-time thing. It was a whole network.
So how'd they even start to unravel it all? Where'd the investigation go from this fake company?
It all started with that name, Refined Pharma. They used that, traced the origin of the pills, followed the money trail.
Yeah, what'd they find?
Well, they caught this guy, Raman Vijayakumar Taneja from Saharanpur. Seems he was big on the manufacturing side.
Wow. So real people. This isn't just some abstract crime ring. These are
real consequences.
Exactly.
And get this, another guy they arrested, Vijay Chaudhary, he was already in jail for the same thing.
This V.A. Chaudhary guy sounds like this wasn't his first rodeo. Which, it makes you think, right? Like, how big is this whole counterfeit medicine thing, really?
It's huge, unfortunately. Way more common than people realize. And it's global, but it's a much bigger problem in developing countries. Regulations aren't as strict, enforcement's tougher. It's a mess.
Yeah, I can see how it would be easier to get away with it in those situations. But what makes it so lucrative for these criminals? Like, we're talking about medicine, not exactly your usual black market stuff.
Right, but think about it. The demand for life-saving meds, that's never going down. People need relief, they want a cure, and they're desperate. They'll cut corners to get these drugs, and that creates opportunity.
So it's all about, what, preying on vulnerable people. Are these counterfeiters, are they just motivated by profit, or is there something else going on?
Profit's a big part of it, for sure. Think about it. The costs to make this stuff are tiny. They're basically just using cheap fillers instead of the actual ingredients. It's all about volume, make a ton of it on the cheap, sell it for slightly less than the real deal, and boom, huge profits.
So you've got desperate people, you've got these criminals, and then, like you said, these weak regulations. Recipe for disaster.
100%. And on top of that, trying to keep track of all this stuff, these supply chains, It's a nightmare, even in the best circumstances,
Mhm.
especially in places with, less infrastructure. There are always gaps. And you know who is good at finding those gaps?
The counterfeiters.
Bingo. And it's only getting harder. Like you saw in the articles, the packaging is getting so good. It's tough even for the pros to spot the fakes.
Right. Which kind of freaks me out, to be honest, because, like, I'm not a chemist. I can't, like, test every pill I get.
Right, yeah.
What hope does the average person even have?
It's a good question.
Uh,
And it's not just about, the immediate danger of taking the wrong stuff. This goes way deeper.
Oh, for sure. It's like that thing in one of the articles about trust in the healthcare system just eroding away. It's like this ripple effect.
Exactly. You get a prescription, something you should be able to trust to make you better. And it's fake. You'd question everything.
You'd start to wonder, is this cough really just a cough?
Yeah.
Or is it something worse? And I'm becoming resistant to the very thing that should be helping.
Right.
It's enough to make you paranoid.
And that paranoia has consequences. People delay treatment. They turn to, unverified sources because they're desperate. It's a vicious cycle.
So what can we even do? Besides, turning into amateur chemists and building a lab in our basement, there's got to be a way to deal with this without, freaking out.
I mean, knowledge is power, right? More aware you are, better decisions you can make.
Okay, so walk me through it. Practically speaking, what can people actually do?
First thing, be wary of deals that seem too good to be true. That goes for medication, too. If it seems too amazing.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Good advice in general. But what about online? Like if you're ordering a refill from an online pharmacy, how do you know?
Do your homework. Take a few minutes, make sure they're legit. Are they licensed? Do they have real reviews from real people? And don't be afraid to ask questions. Contact their customer service. See how they respond.
And once you actually have the meds, what then? Anything about the packaging itself that screams fake?
Oh,
Right. So, okay, you get the package. What am I looking for?
the details. Look at it closely. Does it look, professional? Or are there typos? Is the printing blurry? Are the colors right? Think back to other times you've bought this medication. How does it compare?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What about, I'm thinking back to that one article of the fake malaria meds in Africa. Some of those were just chalk. How can you even, know?
Yeah, that's the thing. It gets really tough. You can only tell so much from just looking. Honestly, if you've got any doubts, talk to a professional. Your pharmacist, they know this stuff. They can tell you what to do.
Better safe than sorry, right?
100%. And if you do think something's off, report it. Tell your local health authorities, the FDA, whoever. Every report helps.
So, okay, this has been, I'm not going to lie, this deep dive has been kind of intense. This whole thing with the fake ciprofloxacin and the scale of it across multiple states, the danger to people.
Scary stuff.
And it all comes back to that trust thing we were talking about. When you can't even trust the systems that are supposed to be helping you,
It's a problem.
it really is.
Yeah.
And, this whole thing in Nagpur, they found it by chance, basically. What if they hadn't done that routine check? Who knows how long it would have gone on?
Exactly. It
Yeah.
makes you think, how much of this stuff is out there right now that we don't even know about?
It's a little unsettling, to say the least. This whole thing really drives home that, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure,
Yeah.
Be careful out there.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Being informed, being aware, that's your best defense against this stuff.
Well said. This has been a deep dive into, a really important, if not totally unsettling topic. So everyone listening, stay informed, stay vigilant, and if your gut's telling you something's off,
Listen to it.
exactly.